I've gone live just a couple of minutes early without the intro, just for anyone who's ready to start early. And this is the private buyers, all buyers, first-time buyers and any other buyers, live Q&A, where you get to, because you are paid up members of the Buy Me a Coffee membership club, the buyers group, you get to ask me any questions you like. And hopefully you'll actually click the link in the live chat that I've put there, where you can actually come and join me on screen, on video, or just on audio to ask your question, and we can have a live conversation. Otherwise, just ask me in the chat. But I am just waiting for the first of you guys to get there. I've got myself a nice cold Beck's Blue, and I'm ready to go. Hi, who have we got? Who's first in? Come and say hi in the chat. Come on. I've got and some questions I want to go through with everyone when you're ready. I've had such a funny thing happen to me today. It was so frustrating. I sat down with a surveyor, a really fantastic, he's a registered valuer for the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors and an estate agent. Sat down in my kitchen with him in person. We had a 20-minute conversation about the RICS monthly house price survey. And I was so pleased with it. And we wrapped it up, got to the end and realized I hadn't recorded any of the audio. What a waste of a trip and a waste of an opportunity, but never mind, there we are. So guys, come on, I can see there's a couple of you there. Don't be shy, come and say hi. Joe, I'm very well. How are you? Welcome back. How is your purchase going? Is everything proceeding as you hoped? I'm just waiting for a few more people to arrive. And we can then get stuck in. So Joe, let's go. Have you got any questions? I would love to know how your purchase is progressing and if it's progressing on time. Mortgage offer today, fantastic. So that is a major hurdle to overcome, isn't it? So that means that they've done, has the lender's surveyor been around and done the valuation and approved it, and therefore given you a mortgage offer, is that right? I'm just wondering, if you look, I've asked there's the 10 steps of buying a property that I put in the comments just above. And I don't even think I've included that step. Making the offer. No, I haven't. It's viewings, offer, make offer, purchase, exchange of contracts. Yeah, so it's actually between 8 and 9. I've missed a step out. Between step 8, agreeing a purchase, and step 9, exchanging contracts, you need to get your mortgage offer approved, as well as the decision in principle earlier. That's fantastic news. So what's left for you to do now? Now that the mortgage offer is approved, have all the searches come back? Yeah, it's from the residential mortgage to getting buy-to-let for the deposit, and so have one more mortgage to go. Oh, okay. Another more. Okay, sounds complicated. Well, good luck. I hope it goes through. It's a right old gauntlet, isn't it? Now, do we have anyone else? Who else is there? Come and say hi, whoever else is there, because at the moment we haven't got enough people asking questions. I'm here to answer your questions, so I don't have any questions from you yet. For those of you watching, I'd like you to take a look in the live chat, and you'll see that I've listed the questions that I went through, not the questions, the stages of buying that I went through in the first ever experimental live Q&A that we did for buyers. And what I wanted to ask all of you who are watching, so I know what stage you're at, is what stage on that process, 1 to 10, are you at now? It would be really, really good, because every single one of those steps we can talk about. So if you're watching this and you're at one of those steps and you've got questions about the next step, let me know what they are. Because until I start to get some questions from you, I'm going to have to keep on babbling randomly. So Joe, what are you saying here? You only saw the property 3 weeks ago, so it's all looking good. Yeah. So it says we've got 4 people watching, but whoever you are watching there, you're being very shy. Come and say hello. Come on, you've paid to be a member of this group. So I'm really keen to actually find out what it is that I can help you with. Just until we have some more questions, I thought it'd be worth talking about what seems to be the biggest situation right now. Hi, Neil. Yeah, of course. Yeah, audio only is fine. Just click that link above and you'll appear in my screen here. and I can bring you on an audio so you can ask the question. Actually, I had a conversation. So I've now got a private video conference happening every week with a group of best agents. It's the best agent. It's a private best agent group, which is a safe place for agents to come and talk to me about best agents, about the market, about their businesses, what's happening. And last night we were chatting there, and one of the agents said that, and this is an agent I didn't know. It was the first time we'd met. And he said to me, we had a house for sale, and we had some buyers come along and said that because they watched your Moving Home with Charlie channel, they knew that the market was coming down, and therefore they could only offer 20% below asking price. And he said that was a problem because they'd actually priced the property very well. They did, in fact, sell it for asking price a couple of days later to someone else. And he said, but it was a problem because they were literally using me and saying, Charlie told us they're coming down to 20%, so that's the maximum we can offer, which is a really important point to clarify and rectify for buyers. I have never said, ever, in a single one of my videos that you should offer any percent below asking price, because it always depends on a number of things about that specific property. Is it a very rare, unusual property that doesn't come to market very often? Are there any other offers in town? Has it been priced well, or has it been priced over? And this property, this was from a very good agent, which is why they're part of the best agent group, and it was priced very, very well, so it had lots of interest, and it sold very quickly. And unfortunately, those buyers missed out. So I was worried that they were quoting me as the justification for offering 20% below asking price, because that's something I've never actually told anyone to do. But yeah, it was one of the first times I've had an agent in a sort of public forum with other agents. So yeah, well, Charlie, I do like most of the stuff that you do, but we did have a couple of buyers who were using you as an excuse why they couldn't offer asking price. Neil, how are you getting on? Any luck? Yeah, Joe says, I offered slightly over to get the house I wanted. The advice that a home is priceless. Going to stay there for years and secure a job. So happy with that. Fantastic. Absolutely right. Once you're in, and as long as you can afford the payments, it's happy days, isn't it? It's just a wonderful feeling. And Joe, this is your first home that you've bought, isn't it? Because you've been living with your work for a very long time. How's it going to feel? Right. Neil's here. Good evening, Neil. Can you hear me?
Hey, Charlie. Yes. How are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah,
Welcome.
good. Thanks. Thank you. So just a quick question. First time buyer, and I've been out there viewing, and I looked at a property at the weekend, a 1-bedroom flat, and the agent marketed it for 390, I think. And it was nice, and I had a look around. And then I got back and I did some research, and similar properties, almost identical. The maximum they ever sold for was about 350 18 months ago, obviously when interest rates were like 1% and everything was going well. So how do I politely tell the agent that they're, smoking crack and it's completely mispriced? In a falling market, there's no way I'm going to pay over the highest ever achieved price that type of flat. They seem to be pricing high in the knowledge that that you're going to chip them down, and psychologically, you've got 10% off the asking, so it must be a good deal. But I don't know. I don't like to be. I think they just think we're stupid sometimes, that the way they price these things.
So a 1-bedroom flat for 390,000. I mean, I'm imagining that's in the south somewhere, in the southeast somewhere.
Yeah, so I'm looking in Charlton in southeast London.
Right.
And it's marketed by, well, they've got an X in their name and it begins with D.
That doesn't surprise me. So I can tell you that agent you're referring to, in 2022, it only sold 28% of the properties listed. Okay. And they are London's third largest agent by number of properties for sale.
Okay, so did they purposely overprice to get the instruction with the sellers, and then just try and sort of chip them down into reality after a couple of months?
So that agent used to be a client of mine a long time ago when they were only 5 offices, and now they're London's biggest network of agents. They had one of my CRM systems, and the owners of that just told me plainly, we are just copying Foxton's. And Foxton, sorry, the other agent with an X in its name, but it starts with F, has it's even lower. It's 27%. So about the similar amount. So I mean, literally, they're copying them identically. And I know, because of very old friends of mine who worked at Foxtons in the very early days of Foxtons back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I also know from other estate agent clients who went to a seminar that was held by the managing director of that agency, that their open strategy, sorry, it wasn't internally open, the one they actually told to their staff is, list everything. Say whatever you have to get the instruction. We only need to sell 1 in 4 of the properties we list in order to hit our profit targets, our revenue targets. Which is shocking if you think about it. I mean, imagine if that was wide public knowledge. You know, that two of London's 3 largest estate agents only sell just over 1 in 4 of all the properties that they list.
So do the sellers just get fed up with them and eventually go to an agent that's more, realistic?
Exactly right. Exactly right. And it's and by comparison, right, the number 2 agent, which doesn't have an X in its name, but is the second largest by market share of properties for sale in London, sells more than double that. It sells 56% of everything they list. And that, for a large network of agents, that's not bad. I mean, it's not nowhere near the best conversion ratio of instructed to sold that you get. But just in case people think, well, hang on, is that the norm? Only selling 1 in 4 properties? No, it's not. There are people who sell there are large chain estate agents who sell well over half of what they list. Now, so some people might go, well, hang on, that's still terrible. But you've got to remember the fact that actually there are a lot of sellers who come to the market in good faith and then genuinely change their mind and take the properties off the market. So there is a segment of properties that, through no fault of the agents, just don't sell. Now, the problem with those agents, the ones with the X's in their name, is that they don't care about having highly overpriced properties on their books because it actually serves a purpose for them. It makes the more realistically priced properties that they're selling look cheaper and they sell them quicker. So they get these people, the sellers, to sign up. And because most of them are first-time sellers, they tie them into long sole agency agreements. So those sellers are now trapped with that agent. And they will then start saying, you need to drop your price, you need to drop your price, you need to drop your price. And it's just like a sausage factory. That's how it works. Which is why, I mean, I know some individual agents of both of those companies that are actually individually very, very good agents.
Yeah.
And they sort of, they deplore of the policies they're expected to follow. And a lot of people leave those companies and go to other companies where they're not expected to do that. But it's one of the messages I'm trying to bring to the wider public is that, do you want to sign up for a sale with an agent to sell your property that fails to sell 75% of what they list?
Yeah, statistically, it's not
would
good.
you even invite them round? Now, that's not publicly available data, so no one knows. And these guys have the biggest marketing campaigns. They basically spend whatever it costs to make sure that when everyone goes, oh, I'll pick 3 agents at random, they're the 3 that get picked. And that's why it works.
So I quite like this flat, and I would potentially like to make an offer, but nothing like the 390 grand they're asking for,
Right.
given similar flats are going for 3, 4, 5, 18 months ago. So I was just going to say to them, very politely, the peak of the market was 18 months ago, and one sold in the building for about 350 grand. So my offer, if I was going to make an offer, would be under that, because it's a falling market, don't want to be in negative equity, etc., etc. And see if the seller's open to that type of offer, because I don't want to keep doing second viewings and a waste of time.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 2 things we don't know. We don't know the seller's position. That's the first thing you should ask. What is the seller's reason for sale? Is there an onward chain? Are they moving on out and up?
So the seller's in Australia, and this was her old place when she lived in London, and she's rented it out to her brother, and she keeps getting outbid in properties in Australia. So she's looking to liquidate assets here to purchase a property or bigger property in Australia. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Okay. So she needs it sold.
You would think.
Now,
yeah.
let's just give her the benefit of the doubt, and let's assume that she has naively believed what she's been told by the agent concerned, and in good faith has gone, okay, if that's what you think, yeah. And maybe the classic scenario is they've gone around and met her, they hired another agent and given all kinds of amazing confirmations about, look at all these other properties we've got, we can definitely, this is such an amazing flat, and they've just convinced her, because it's what she wants to hear, that they can get this amazing price. Yeah. Or, as you say, they've gone, let's put it on at 390, and because people are making offers of 10% under, so that's 40 grand off.
Yeah.
So that'll be a 350. So that's entire. I know that there are agents following that policy, which is silly, right? But as I've always said, and it's a great opportunity to repeat this, when it comes to making your offer, you just disregard the asking price. Just literally delete it and decide what it's worth to you. You don't need to justify your offer. No one ever needs to justify their offer, because either they've got other offers for the flat or they haven't.
But will that estate agency not need to justify the offer to their seller, to their client?
They're legally required to put your offer forward to the client.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, if I provide evidence and say, look, this flat sold 18 months ago in the next door building for 345, then this is the rationale behind that.
Now, the reason why it's never worthwhile having a rationale is because the agents, and especially companies like that who are trained, it's drilled into them, and they're trained and trained and trained, and they've heard every single one. The number one skill the negotiators are taught there is how to get buyers to bid more. And every single objection that you give them, they will have an answer for. And so what I'm saying is, it is actually, it's a waste of life and effort, because they don't care. I promise you, the individuals there, all they care about is tying up a deal. I promise you this. And the reason I can promise you this is because I used to have friends that did this job. Close, lifelong childhood friends of mine doing this job in these companies, the ones with the X's in. And I still know people that are doing it, right? And their job is to get the highest price for the vendor. But what they want is just to get everything sold. They don't care if it's 5 or 10 or 15 or 20%. They just want a deal. Yeah. They just want to get it sold, move on to the next one. Get it sold, move on to the next one. And if it's, when they already know that they're not selling 3 out of 4 properties, if it's not easy to sell, they just ignore it. Okay? And so they will have lots of properties like this which just aren't selling, or they're going to move to another agent, whatever it might be. And what happens is, the sellers, when they realize that they have actually been tricked and duped into going with the agent, signing a high price and locked in, and are told you're going to have to drop your price, they're so angry with the agent, they think to themselves, I'm not going to drop my price with you. I'm going to wait till we come out of this sole agency period, and I'm going to go to another agent, and then they can sell it. And that happens. Unfortunately, it means that they've got to wait a long time, because otherwise they have to pay 2 agents' fees. But I could talk at length about why there's no point in justifying your offer, because whatever your offer is, either they have a better one or they don't. It's that simple.
So I mean, how do I figure out? I don't want to waste my time by doing second viewings and spending a lot of time looking at it if they're just not going to budge on price. So how do I figure out if they're at least open to offers in the reasonable market rate?
By making an offer, because what will happen when your offer comes in, no matter what price it is, the agent will be required to communicate it to the seller. And what they should do is have a conversation with the seller and say, yeah, well, do you know how long it's been on the market, this flat?
It's just come on this weekend.
It's just come on, okay. Now, if it's a flat that you like and you think that's a home I'd like to buy and live in for the foreseeable future, then you're either going to be up against other people overbidding or you're not. And if you are, you just have to walk away. Right? If you're not comfortable overbidding to get it, if you're not in a position to afford what I call the certainty premium that some buyers pay, and you don't want to overpay, then you just have to walk away when there's a frenzy, if there is one, right? And often you'll see that frenzy happens and the frenzy dies away, and there's actually there are no offers, or the offers that were made flake away. Because I can tell you something that especially in that kind of market, I mean, the flats market in London is stronger than the housing market because of downsizing. And some agents are being a bit cocky about it for that reason, okay? But it sounds to me, based on just the background of information that you've done, it is knowing the overpriced, and they're knowing it's going to come in. They're probably at 390. We'll take 350 kind of thing. And
I would imagine.
We'll take 350.
Yeah.
They're not going to be surprised to get an offer at 325.
Okay.
It's not, and no one's going to be offended. No one's going to care, because they deal with offers all day, every day. Those businesses are high volume business. I mean, and in that particular company, I've got a client, an estate agency client who is independent, who was bought out by that company, and who shares with me some of the data, the internal financial data, and it's staggering how much money they're making. Even not selling 3/4 of what they list, it is staggering how much money they're making.
Because it's a volume game, isn't it?
It's pure, yeah. And this, so this is why what you'll get is the negotiators just want the deal. They're not going to spend lots of time talking to you unless they think you're actually the buyer or potential buyer. Now, so they'll probably get some other offers, right? Because there is a competitive market for one-bedroom flats in London, and you might be up against cash buying landlords or cash buying buyers. I don't know if you're a cash or mortgage or not.
Mortgage, yeah.
So and if the rental returns are high enough in that area, it might still make sense at 360 or 365 or 370 to a landlord who's taking the long-term view. He's got cash. He doesn't want his cash in the bank because it's just diminishing in value by 10% a year at the moment. He wants to get his cash, where currently it's not bringing him any interest, into a property which he knows he can rent out tomorrow if it's a one-bedroom flat in London and it's a decent flat, and where he's going to get a pretty good return and just leave it there for forever. So, you may well be up against buyers like that, but you may also find that it's horribly overpriced. It's way out of, it's much too high a price for a landlord to make money on. It's too high a price for a cash buyer as well, because cash buyers are looking for the bargains and cash buyers are getting the bargains. So your best hope is that actually you're the only offer. And either you will be or you won't. But it doesn't really matter, because whatever the circumstances are, my suggestion always stands, which is you work out the maximum price you're comfortable to pay. And let me just define what I mean by maximum price. It is the price at which you would kick yourself that you hadn't offered it when you just missed out on it to someone else. Right? And it's the price at which, if it is your maximum comfortable price and you don't get it, you're okay with it, because you say to yourself, I wouldn't have paid more than that. I wouldn't even have to pay more than that. So I totally accept the fact that if someone else pays more than that, I'm not going to have that flat. Right? But it's a very difficult thing to do. It's especially when it's your first time buying, because it's actually, there's internal conflict, right? There's the angel and the devil on the shoulders telling you what to do. One of them saying, look, just pay up, just get it. You've been looking for so long, you just want to get into a home. You've got the money, just pay it. Just never mind out the price, get into a home. And then you've got on the other side of the shoulder going, no, don't ever pay, walk away, wait, be patient, another one will come along. And I don't know how long you've been looking. How long have you been looking?
About a year. Okay. My requirements are quite sort of specific, so that it doesn't come up on a regular basis. But I work in finance, and I know the market's falling. I don't want to overpay. I don't want to be in negative equity. I don't think I will be.
Right.
But I'm paying 19 grand a year for a flat in Finchley now, which is rented, and that's a lot of money, right? Yeah. So that could be going towards a mortgage. Yeah. So in your opinion, Charlie, I should just proceed with second viewings, work myself up to a potential offer, and then just put the offer in. And, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't.
You don't have to proceed with second viewings. If you've seen it once and you like it enough, that's enough for you to put an offer in. Now, the timing of your offer, have they followed you up? Did they ring you after the viewings?
Yes, straight away. I got a phone call and an email, and I've not responded to them yet, because I want to have a second look at it with a friend. There's some issues I need to look at, and potentially some sort of remodeling that I want to do, and then I could get to the point where I'll be ready for an offer.
Right. So this is why I would suggest that you do go and view it no matter what, because it's impossible to know how many other bids there are going to be and whether they're good bids or not. You just don't know. But if you do a second viewing, you immediately fall into the category of buyers that they're taking more seriously. Right. And so for these negotiators who are dealing with hundreds of buyers, literally hundreds of buyers, you suddenly get into a category that they're like, right, this is someone I'm going to look after, because you've now invested you're one of the people that's viewed it twice.
Serious. Yeah.
And I cannot stress enough, ignore the asking price. Ignore it. It is an irrelevant number. It is a Puma number plucked out of their ass, right? It's just it's just a number that they did to get the instruction. Your calculation of your figure, and it's uncomfortable doing this, because part of us wants to get that. Oh, I want the market's it's a buyer's market. I want to get it at a keen price, and then part of it's like, but I don't want to miss out on it. And it's a real like, but if I overpay, then I won't have the budget I wanted for other things, whatever else it might be. But the only thing I can say is this: you've got to start to imagine how you'll feel if you lose out on the flat when you wanted it, and also how you'll feel if you get it, even if you had to pay slightly more than you're comfortable with, but that's still within your reach, right? Try to literally imagine those two scenarios.
Yeah.
And then you've got to ask yourself, right, which is the worst mistake? Buying it and wishing I hadn't, or not buying it and wishing I had? It's amazing. That technique has never failed to help me come to difficult decisions and make the right one every time. It's never failed, that technique. Which would be the mistake I'd regret the most, right? Would I regret buying it and wishing I hadn't bought it more than not buying it and wishing I had? In which case, the answer is don't overpay. Yeah, that's just, you put in your maximum comfortable bid and be prepared to walk away. Okay. Or if the answer is I would regret not buying it and wishing I had more, then it's okay, pay up to the maximum you're comfortable financially paying, just to go, I'm taking this flat. No one else is having it, I'm having it, if there are other buyers. Now, what you don't know is how long is it going to be until there are other offers. And so taking your time to respond to the agent is good. You've got nothing to lose except for a bit of time by viewing it again. And every time you do a viewing, you'll learn more about the process. So if you don't end up getting this flat, you may well end up viewing others and negotiating with agents, and you'll be that much better armed and prepared for your future negotiations.
Yeah,
this can work out. But I hear what you say. It sounds like what you're saying is your requirements are quite specific, and this is one of the few properties that meets those requirements, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm happy to pay a fair market price, but I'm not going to pay last year's prices when interest rates have quadrupled. It's insanity. And like you say in your podcast, the reality is slowly starting to sink in.
It is
that they can't achieve those prices anymore. So, but then if I get it under 10% market value, then I'd be happy with that, because I think prices will fall at least 10% this year. They might fall further. Let's say they fall 30%. I could be stuck there for maybe 5 years, and I've got to be prepared for that. So nobody wants to be in negative equity or have to wait to sell their house. You never know what's going to happen with your job or your life. But then I don't want to pay 20 grand a year in rent for the next 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there is a certain value in, when you've been looking for a year, in actually getting it done and not being back to square one every time one goes. But you've got to decide. There's one or two approaches, which is I set my hard limit, I make my offer, and that's it. And that's what I always recommend anyone should do. Okay. Or you accept the fact, okay, I'm going to get into a bidding war, but I don't care because I want it. It's personal choice, personal risk preference, personal risk appetite. Consider the worst case scenarios. If it doesn't work out, can you live with it? If someone in your situation got into this, decided, you know what, I'm fed up of waiting for the right place. This looks like the right place. So if I have to bid over to get it, so be it. I'll be paying top whack. Can I live with myself if the market then does tank another 20% after that? And you think that through and go, what does that mean for me if it tanks 20%? Can I live with that? Is that a risk I'm prepared to accept? And if it is, then you go, okay, I can go into this knowing that, yes, I'm paying more than I'm comfortable for, and I'm increasing my risk slightly, but it's a risk I've considered, I've quantified, and I've accepted. Otherwise, it's set your hard price limit and just say to yourself, there will probably be other offers. I will make my offer, walk away, and leave it on the table. You could even do that now and save yourself a second view. Just put your offer in and say, guys, don't come back to me and ask me to raise it, but there's my offer. It's my maximum comfortable offer. This is not an opening bid. This is my maximum comfortable offer. And if it's accepted, I'll proceed. And if it's not accepted, I'll keep looking elsewhere. Please let me know and then be prepared to wait, because if it's only just come on the market, they will want to get at least 2 full weeks.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll want to market it for a while just to see what else comes in. I mean, it's an old Victorian top floor flat. It's got a really bad EPC, it's like a D. It's a large 1-bedroom, which would be struggle to make into a 2-bedroom. So I'm hoping I'm not going to be fighting potential buy-to-lets and landlords just because of the nature of the property. I'm not going to be fighting families because it's on the top floor and it's only got 1 bedroom. So yeah, I mean, I don't think the demand will be huge for this, but you never know.
Neil, listen, I've just become aware of the fact that I need to take some other.
No, yeah, go for it. I'm going to have my food.
I hope that's helpful anyway.
Yeah, no, it's great, Charlie. Thanks very much. I'll let you know how it goes.
Fantastic. Best of luck. Now, let me see. I've got some other questions coming in here. Who do we have? Who was first? Question. Jacek, hi there. Are there any specific circumstances you would recommend not putting in a lowball offer if, for example, a property just came to the market? Well, I think maybe I just answered that question while I was talking to Neil. Yeah, if you rush your offer, you're revealing your keenness, and an agent is going to want to show a property for at least a couple of weeks before considering any low offers. If you are part of that frenzy at the beginning and there are other offers, you're going to be bidding over. So again, it depends. So I mean, a low ball offer, I would never recommend doing if what you mean by a low ball offer is actually that's less than you're willing to pay. If that makes sense, right? But if it's low ball and also your maximum comfortable offer, place the offer. You could just place it. You could forget about whether they're offering it to other people. You could just leave it on the table and walk away. There's my offer. Not expected to be accepted, but if they want to talk, come back to me. Next question. Hi, Paula. So, Charlie, just wondering, Royal Institute Chartered Surveyors valuations, do you think they take the current economic climate into consideration, or is the focus still on last sold and what EAs are saying, i.e. asking prices? Funny enough, I was having a conversation today. RACS, so if you're talking about the lender's valuation, the valuation that the surveyors have to do on behalf of the lender, that is a very specific type of valuation, which is a lending valuation, and it's a lending suitability valuation. And no, the surveyors are not expected to or required to take into account economic conditions. They are not forecasters as such beyond the sort of 3 months and 12 months. I mean, they have that forecast survey, but they don't forecast actual prices in that survey. They forecast whether it's just the balance of whether they think it's going to be positive or negative. So their job is to say, at this time today, in advance of this purchase going through, is the valuation today correct? Because what they can't do is say, well, because this property is likely to be worth 5% less a year from now, we downvalue it now. They don't do that. In the same way that if the property is going to be 10% higher a year from now, they can't say it's going to be worth 10% more today because that's what's happening in the future. Do you see what I mean? So do they take into account economic climate? No, they won't. It's not their job. Surveyors are people who are asked to assess and survey something today. They are not, when they're surveying properties, being asked to consider the future, if that makes sense. It's all about what is the market price today for that property. And if prices are going to slide for 2 years and they're going to slide at 1% a month for 2 years, so 24% over the next 2 years, they will keep on valuing them 1% down, 1% down, 1% down. They're not here to predicting. Does that answer the question? I hope it does. Darren from Suffolk. So Neil, if you're still there, Darren from Suffolk is got the list of things for you to suggest there. Check any cladding issues, RPI for future ground rents, maintenance charges. Worth checking those out. Next question. Nikhil, hi there. If inflation comes in around 2% in the next 6 months, does that mean the beginning of QE again? No. This is outside my real area of knowledge, but so far the Bank of England has been very, very clear that they are pursuing a medium-term policy of quantitative tightening, which is reversing the quantitative easing that they've been doing for the last 14 years or the 13 years, up until whenever it was, December 2021. I would be absolutely astonished if inflation is down to 2% within the next 6 months. I mean, I cannot see that happening. I cannot see it happening. So it's a strange question. But does that answer your question? Inflation coming down isn't a reason that they would start printing money again. Hi, Some Human. Hi, Charlie. Recently saw a property I liked. I offered 16% over home report and came second out of 9 bidders. Wow. That's in Scotland, isn't it? Well, again, you know, there are multiple markets. There's 3 dimensions of market. It's property type. Is it a house or is it a flat? Because there's 2 different markets in the same location. What's the local location? I was talking to a surveyor today who said he's got 2 offices. One is just north of a town, one's just south of a town, and the markets are completely different, even though they're not that far apart. They've got totally different dynamics. But you know, overall, my feeling is that the Scottish market is going to be having a reduction. It's just I'm not as familiar with the Scottish market. The dynamics are different, the timings are different because of the way the legal process is different. But I certainly can't see it continuing going like that. I mean, you say you can't see anything changing drastically in the next 3 months. Yeah, in the next 3 months. No, I mean, this is the thing. I know it's immensely frustrating for buyers who know that prices are falling and they continue to fall, and wish they would fall sooner. They fall frustratingly slowly. Actually, it's quite fast when you look historically the rate of falls. But you know, 1% a month price falls doesn't feel like a property crash, but actually it is, because that's over 12% in 12 months, which is 10% in 12 months is considered by some, not by me, there's no technical definition, a crash. But when you're waiting to buy, 1% a month doesn't feel like they're falling fast enough, does it? Now, come on, guys. Would anyone else like to come in and actually talk to me on screen? It would be absolutely fantastic if you wanted to do that. And also, can any of you tell me, if you look at the comments at the top of the live chat, I've got those steps 1 to 10. What stage are you at? Joe Brown, I know what stage you're at, Joe. Neil, I know what stage you're at. Paula, you're offering, aren't you, now at the moment? You're in Liverpool. Yeah, you're still trying to view. I actually heard from some agents just yesterday in Liverpool who say that the market is still, it's still softening and coming down slightly. They're seeing prices at sort of 5% below asking price, typically being accepted. But the market's still busy and there's still plenty of demand at the moment. So they're not seeing sharp falls imminently, but they are expecting more stock to come to the market in the next couple of months, and it could soften more later this year. Oh, hello. Leolic 3. Welcome. That's a new. Okay. You need to, Leolic, you need to put this. I'll just put the link in again, right? You need to put this link. There it is again. Click that link and come on in and have a chat. You're hunting for 3-4 bed houses in London suburbs the last 4 months, need a bigger space over right for accommodation. If I were to buy the same property with 15% deposit, the rent of the same property would be 30% lower. The rent is equal to the amount I pay for the interest rate of a monthly mortgage payment. It makes you uncomfortable. Could I comment? Jelena, is that you? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I just brought you into the room, so you should. You just need to switch your microphone on. But let me comment. I mean, assuming that is you, I'll give you a second to try and sort your microphone out or your audio, because I can't hear you. So with a 15% deposit, so an 85% mortgage, you're saying, let me just put your comment back up so everyone can see it. You're saying if I were to buy, you're looking at 3 to 4 bed house in the London suburbs, with a 15% deposit, the rent of that property would be 30% lower than what? Than your mortgage payment, you're saying? The rent is equal to the amount you pay for the interest rate of a monthly mortgage payment. So are you saying the rent is equal to the amount of the interest-only mortgage or your total mortgage payment? Because I never think that this is actually a factor as to whether you should rent or buy. I think this is an example of when you're placing too much emphasis on the financials as to whether or not you actually want to own a home or not. Because if you rent, you don't have the same stability and certainty of that you can stay there. And you also don't have the incentive to invest in making it into your own home. And there are all these non-financial considerations. And when you buy, life is very different. Okay, let me try you again. You've tried again with another link. Hi, can you hear me this time? I'm afraid I still can't hear you. Still got no audio. Can everyone else hear me okay? Let me just check that's okay. It's a microphone issue. Okay. I'll hang on. Don't worry, Jelena, I'm waiting for you. But yeah, you need to clarify because, I mean, renting versus buying, if it comes down to what is the cheapest way to live, your rent is fixed, whatever is fixed, but the two drawbacks are, so one of the advantages is you won't get any large unexpected maintenance costs because you're a tenant. That's the landlord's problem. But the disadvantage is also that you don't have security of tenure. If the landlord changes their mind, wants you out, they can do that. The decision is, if you want to live in that location and in that particular property for a very long time, even take into account what you're saying about the monthly equivalence of rent payment versus mortgage payment, you've got to think, well, what does it mean 10 years from now? Because I'm assuming that your mortgage payment. Oh, I can hear you now. Hello?
Hi. Yes. Hi.
Would you like to, would you just like to elaborate on your question?
Yeah, sure. So we're living currently in London, quite central, in a flat, and we want to move out to live in a bigger space. And
Yes.
we didn't plan to do that because we really like the flat, but because we work from home now, it's not the flat is not scaling.
Yeah.
So it's just unreasonable to keep doing it. So but I think my problem is that I've never expected that would be the calculation. So I kind of feel stuck since I calculated that I would have to pay monthly 30% on top. And with the current mortgage rates, literally the rent that is on the market over there in the same area with the same criteria, I would say, it's 30% on top. Yes, we can pay and afford it. It's just I've never expected something like this.
Understood. Okay, so let me just be very clear and understand this. So you could go and rent an equivalent property for 30% less than the mortgage payment would cost you to buy it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Right. So if this is one of the primary considerations for you, why not rent and live in the area and get to know the area and see if you like it and wait for prices to ease?
Well, I'm getting closer and closer to that conclusion.
Yeah. Because at the moment, I don't know that again, you must make certain that you know what the dynamics are on the precise location that you're looking. Flats are selling better than houses in London. Houses aren't selling as well. And I do think you're going to continue to see prices coming down. I don't know what interest rates are going to do. I suspect interest rates have higher to go before they come down. I don't know that. That's not a confident assertion. That's just my gut feeling, if you like, at the moment. And so if you are comfortable with the uncertainties of renting, and you're okay with that, and it's 30% a month less to rent than it is to buy, and you find a place that you'd like to live for that, then you're living in the area that you're then looking to buy, and then you can buy at leisure. Do you know what I mean? You can sit there, you want to live, get to know it really well, get to know the individual streets. And this is what I mean about getting out and viewing and being able to buy. But I mean, the other thing is this: 30% more on a mortgage, but is that including the repayment or is that the interest only?
So basically the rent that is there, it is the equivalent of the interest rate we would be paying to the bank, and the 30% on top is the repayment with the current mortgage rates.
Okay, I mean, obviously decline if you don't want to do this if you're not comfortable, but can you give me actual numbers? So what would rent be roughly in that area that looking for the kind of property you're looking at, and what would the total mortgage payment, including the repayment element of the mortgage, be?
Yeah, so the monthly rent in that area is around 2,700 and 2,800.
Okay.
And if we get the mortgage for the same property, I even asked one of the agents, I asked him what would be the price to rent it. The repayment is around 3.84
Okay, and that's the interest and the repayment amount.
It's the monthly payment, and then when I broke down the monthly payment to the bank,
right,
when I check what is the interest rate of that amount, it's 2.8.
Wow. Wow.
And then and just the realization of that, I already feel stuck because I'm like, oh, well, this is like a very weird situation.
So now what I don't know is, for now you're saying you work from home and you would like to have some more space because you're working from home, and I get that. I don't know what your medium long-term life plans are. You may not have any yet, that kind of stuff. And if you don't have any yet, then buying is something of a commitment. If you're happy to go with the flow with how life goes, and both personally and professionally, renting is always a good idea. You've got much more flexibility. You can change at a moment's notice. You can move. You've got all kinds of options. That's one of the upsides of renting, is that you've got options. You can change your mind. You can change your mind about life. And life, people do that all the time, have unexpected changes in direction in life. But if and it doesn't sound like this is the case for you, if long-term security in the place you want to live is important to you, then there are reasons why buying, even with the numbers that you described, might make sense. So it comes down to your reasons for buying. And if you're not in a hurry to buy and you're happy to rent, I mean, just based on what you've told me, and without knowing all the personal situation, and we don't need to go into that, I'd be renting in the area, because that's a great way to get to know if you like the area and get to know it really well, and watch the market and get to know what's happening in the market and view properties constantly, as buyers. And maybe, if you're saying you could afford that extra, whatever it is, the extra 30% on top of on the rent, keep on putting that away as your deposit, saving up, for a bigger deposit. And hopefully as the prices come down on houses in that area and your deposit goes up, you're going to be in this gradually improving situation all the time. And then and you will know. So this is what I mean about getting out and viewing and knowing, having your finger on the pulse of what the local market is like. You will know when that market turns positive again before anyone else does, if you are regularly viewing and talking to the agents. So if you feel like the prices are coming down gradually there, and you do that by getting out and seeing the stuff that's sitting in the market, it's not selling, it's not selling. I mean, have you done that? Have you looked at properties and seen that they're just not selling, or are they selling quite quickly, the kind of property you want to buy?
So it's a bit tricky to figure out how. Can I turn on the camera? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Please do.
So it's a bit tricky. I've been meeting the agents, and they're like, "Yeah, the market is fine. It's booming. It's fine. It's the usual one. We're selling the houses," and I just can't believe it. I'm looking at them, and I'm like, I don't know.
They always say that. I mean, some of them. I can literally remember 25 years ago, some of my friends who were new, young employees at places like Foxtons saying things like, "When's a good time to buy? Now. Always now. When's a good time to sell? Now. It's always now. It's always a good time to sell. It's always a good time to buy. Always, always, always." And that's what you say no matter what. And of course, I mean, that was literally drilled into them. It was drilled into them.
So it's not useful. That's my point. So what I see on the properties is that I think some of them get sold, but I think there are really few properties that get sold. And now that the public data was released for January, I think sales.
Yeah.
I checked January sales in the beginning of February. They're selling only cheap properties, like flats. There are no house purchases.
Yeah. So there you are. I mean, what you could do, one of two things. You can either go and find a house that you like now and put in an offer that's much lower, that reduces your mortgage payment anyway, and just skip straight to ownership if that's appealing enough to you. Or if you're not feeling in a hurry to buy, but you want to live in that area, move in to rent there. It's a great way to get to know an area really, really well. And actually, if you do have the time and situation to do that, you'll end up working out exactly where you want to live in that area. You know what I mean? It's nice to know that. It's nice to know that. So I hope that helps. Is that a helpful answer?
Yes. Thank you.
Fantastic. Any more questions? Okay. By the way, anyone who wants to click on the link and come in is going to get priority. I mean, I will answer everyone's questions, of course, but it's really, really cool to take questions like this and have you actually in the call. So that's great. Do you have any other questions before you go?
Well, I had the one practical, I think, short question. It's about when you are buying for the stamp duty, when you're buying a second property, but for your main property, like in our situation, we have a flat, we want to buy like a house. What happens with the stamp duty? Do we have to pay like if we were buying more properties, or is it like still counted as towards our own?
First-time buyers get a specific exemption to a certain level on buying a property. But if once you're buying a second property, of course, that you're just paying whatever the standard stamp duty for that property should be. And it doesn't matter if it's a second, third, or fourth property. The stamp duty is then the same after that. So it's only first-time buyers who get effectively a stamp duty discount, if that makes sense. But there are lots of stamp duty calculators, so you can go and work out exactly what they are. It is quite. On the one hand, it's relatively simple. On the other hand, actually, there are lots of check about this, that, because it's different for new homes, different for there are variations, so it's always worth looking into. But thanks very much for joining, and I really would love anyone else to come and join me there. Alex, might you come and join me in the room if you've got questions? Sounds like you've got an interesting story here. So Alex, who was, by the way, you were late, weren't you? I did give enough notice, didn't I? 2 days notice. Anyway, I'm joking. Thanks for coming. So you said, for us, we're viewing many properties, and we still find we find in our town that everywhere prices are still 2022 and sometimes reducing, still overpriced. Thing is, both less nice and very nice area are high and reducing equally now. The thing I'm worried about is which one might be hit the most by the market, but you also said not to worry about it if you stay for a long time. That's true. So we have a 30% deposit. We should not be hit by the overpaying problem, I guess. So obviously, the larger the deposit you have, the bigger insulation you have against the risk of being in negative equity. But it sounds like you're looking at stuff which is great. You're starting to realize that there's better quality stuff and lower quality stuff. There's a higher end and the lower end, and the more you look, the more two things will happen. You'll find out actually what's happening in the market where you want to live, and actually what you really do want, where you do want to live, where you don't want to live, because it's commonly known amongst all estate agents that first-time buyers especially are often unclear what it is they think they want to buy and where they think they want to live. And I've heard figures like something like 80% of estate agents saying that 80% of first-time buyers end up buying something that initially was something they ruled out as something they would never consider buying, end up buying it and being happy that they did. So it would be really cool to have the self-awareness as first-time buyers that most first-time buyers end up changing their mind about what to buy and where to buy. And the best way to speed that up is to be out viewing and getting on with the process. Does that help, Alex? Have you got another question? Okay, some human. I forgot what your real name is. Forgive me. But your options are look to buy now in Scotland or buy in England in Q4 2024. So you're talking about 18 months from now, because you're studying. Okay, you think you'd like to buy in England, but wire prices may have risen by then. I don't think prices will have risen by 20. Okay, so I think the prices will not start rising again until mid-2025. But if I'm wrong, and I could be wrong, and that's your worry, and again, it depends on your reasons for waiting. I mean, if it's only the money, I mean, isn't there a part of you that wants to say to yourself, I just want to buy somewhere, whether it's in Scotland, I just want to buy somewhere. I want to buy it, and I want to be over this waiting and hunting because it's stressful and time consuming. So you've got to factor that in. And I don't know how long you want to buy for and what your reasons for buying is. Is it to buy a home or is it an investment property? Because it changes it. Bill, that's right. Hi, Bill. Thanks, Alex. I'm glad I answered your question. Yeah, Neil says if universal basic income comes to Scotland, the market will crash with people leaving due to high taxes. Yeah, just today, the new First Minister, it was Hamza Yousaf, was saying about how he wants to tax and redistribute wealth in Scotland. So it sounds like Scotland's coming in for a reckoning of some sort. Oh, Joe, thank you for saying that. This is what happened to me. Wanted a cottage, ended up offering a more spacious modern house. Yeah. Okay. Guys, we're starting to get towards the end of the hour. Paula. Now, Paula, you're looking in Liverpool and you're saying the asking price feels out of kilter of what it should be now. I can't say this often enough. Don't look at asking prices. Now, I realize that might sound counterintuitive, but I really mean it. Because you don't know whether that agent's overvalued the property or not. And some agents will and some agents won't. So go and view. I mean, Paula, I know that you're very frustrated with the process of trying to find a home up there, and prices haven't been coming down. But you can still find bargains if you're out looking and in the right place at the right time. And again, being out there, and I know it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but from memory, you've been looking for quite a long time and you're very frustrated, right? I can't remember how many. I mean, could you tell me how many properties have you physically viewed, Paula? Because you shouldn't let the asking price affect what you're viewing in this market. Yeah, I really mean that. I mean, yes, there'll be markets that are still quite busy and quite strong, and there's a lot of competition, and therefore properties will still be selling quite quickly at close to their listing price. But there will still be properties where you're going to find that it's a property no one else wants and you do, and the seller needs to sell it quickly, and you're in the right place at the right time. So view. So yeah, Paula, can you tell me, are you still there? Can you let me know how many properties you've viewed? Look at that. Alex Rossi says, yeah, same here. We're actually thinking of buying an area that we thought we couldn't afford. Oh, Jelena says, this is such news to me. The asking price should not affect what's being viewed. So let's just, again, remind ourselves that two of London's three largest estate agents don't sell almost 3/4 of what they advertise. Why? Because the asking prices are too high. Way too high. And what ends up happening is that most properties end up leaving those agents and then going to smaller agents at a lower price, and then they sell them. So, an asking price is a theoretical wish. Okay? The asking price is determined by a combination of what the agent says he thinks it's worth and what the seller wants it to go on the market at, and whether or not the seller listens to the agent's advice about what to market at and that kind of stuff. It's a random, meaningless figure. Okay? It's why the average asking price of properties in the UK is almost £100,000 more than the average sale price. Now, that doesn't mean that you should automatically offer that much under. It's because it's average, and the average is not something to go on, but it is when you're looking at the whole market. The average asking price is £100,000 more, roughly, than the average actual sale price. But I mean, okay, actually, I'm going to share with you. Yeah, let's just have a look at this. Okay, bestagent.news. I will show you this. Let's look at it for England. Okay, and this is a few days old, but let me share this with you and show you what I mean. Okay, hang on a second. Oopsie. So I'm going to share that like this. So for those of you who understand the difference between averages and medians, let's just have a look at what this means. The average price of homes listed for sale currently, this is as at the 12th of April, in England, this is just England, not the UK, but is £430,000. Okay, but the median price is £320,000. Now, the median price. That's still the median asking price in England. But what you got to understand is that there are a lot of insanely overpriced properties put on the market and left there for years, literally. So the average is totally skewed and creates a totally false impression. All right. Now let's look at the median and average asking price of the properties that are showing as sale agreed. £351,000, so £80,000, or roughly 20% less than the average asking price of unsold properties. And the median price of the properties marked as sale agreed or sold, this doesn't mean that it's the price that they were actually agreed at, it's the asking price that they were showing when it was sold for a price we don't yet know, is £280,000. So to me, this is just England, right? And it includes London. So outside London, it's lower. Inside London, it's higher. But to me, that shows you there's a £40,000 difference between the median asking of unsold stuff and the median asking of sold stuff. Now, the median asking price of sold stuff is what I think is the closest indicator of what's actually happening. Okay. But again, that's just the asking price. And I can tell you that the agreed price is going to be lower than that. Right now, at the coalface, the prices being agreed are below the published sticker price, and we won't know for a long time because of the land registry delays. Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, Bill says, what do I think will change in the next 6 months that hasn't already come into effect? I think more and more sellers who are going to be forced to sell, more and more people coming to the end of their fixed rate mortgage, more and more property coming onto the market and remaining unsold. Actually, so 245,000 homes for sale in England. It has gone up quite a lot. It was about 200. It's gone up about, well, so that's 9% on the previous listing. So the number of homes coming for sale and remaining unsold is going up and up and up. The number of homes actually marked as sold hasn't gone up as much. I know it says 12% there, but just to disregard that for now. What do I think is going to change in the next 6 months? I think the effect of interest rate increases has not yet reached the market properly. And I think that's going to come into effect in the next 6 months. That's number one. Number two, more and more property coming to the market sitting there, and the people that have to sell are going to start dropping prices more and more. Number three, I don't think interest rates are going to come down. I think they're going to continue to go up, the Bank of England base rate, that is. And number four, I think economic news in terms of jobs. So today's jobs data, vacancies are down 47,000. Unemployment is up 0.1%, now 3.8%. Small and medium businesses, which are the largest employers, their confidence is down, and the more of them failing. So all of the economic indicators at the moment, I think, are pointing at getting worse in the next 6 months. That's what I think is going to change in the next 6 months. Just slow reality dawning. Jelena says, this is super useful. The median is 14% lower. That should be an average price. Exactly. Reduction I apply on the offers. Okay. Well, no, I mean, Jelena, again, it comes down to the individual property. It comes down to whether or not that property's asking price is by a good agent or a bad agent. So a good agent will actually have a lower asking price than a bad agent will. So don't apply that uniformly to anything that you view an offer on, okay? You've got to look at the individual property. The seller's circumstances will affect the offer that they're going to accept, and the number of competing buyers that are offer that property will affect it. So in case you are a sort of very mathematical person that just likes to apply these formula, they don't work on an individual. Like, this is a marketplace full of anecdotes. It's a market of a million anecdotes. Just going back to Paula. So Paula, you're saying you've viewed about 15 properties, and you've offered on 5, and you've been outbid every time Started looking again last month after becoming disillusioned. And you're trying again. Well done. Well done. It can only help you. Just need to be patient and keep looking. And I promise you, every time you're out there looking, you'll be a step closer to the day that right property comes on the market, and eventually it'll all be worth it. You'll be glad you didn't get any of the others, by the way. So Alex says, I agree too. There's a line here where 600k below is selling with 700. Yeah, that's true. The higher value stuff is coming, is harder and harder to sell. Bill asks, do me and Housing Stig have any divergent views on the housing market? Be interesting to hear where you differ. No, we don't. Actually, slight differences in actual forecast amounts, but overall, no, we don't. We agree. I've gone way over an hour. Guys, I'm sorry it took so long to get this one in. I won't bore you with my details. I've been up against it. Thank you very much. Can I have some feedback from you right now? Like, was this worth it? Does this feel different to the regular live streams for you guys? Does it feel more intimate and personal? Does it feel like you're getting your money's worth? I'd love your feedback. I really would love your feedback. And I want to know what else you think I could do that would help in terms of being a buyer's club. like talking about negotiating, that kind of stuff, let me know. Send me your requests of topics you'd like discussed on the next Private Buyers live Q&A, and I will come to those with a bit of prep done. Yeah, face-to-face is good, Neil. Thanks very much. I really love it when you guys actually come in the room. And Jelena, thank you very much as well. Thanks, Bill. It is different and worth it. Thank you very much. It's tough out there, and he keeps going. Well, yeah, thank you very much. It is tough out there. Brilliant. Well, I'm glad. I will keep going. Do you need more notice? I mean, I'm noticing we've only got to a maximum of sort of 14 concurrent viewers. We've got about 55 members of the group at the moment, and I would love to get a few more in the group, you know. Yeah, please, guys, send me anything you've got, all your stories. It's good. But on that happy note, unless anyone's got any more questions you'd like to ask before the next one, I will reveal to you guys secretly, I'm not saying this publicly, tomorrow I am on a plane to Singapore for a very old childhood friend's 50th birthday, which I committed to last year. It's terrible timing for a number of reasons, but what are you going to do? I'm going as his guest. He's putting us all up on an Indonesian island for the weekend. So it's one of those things. But I may well actually do another private live stream while I'm out there, because I've got I've got a bit of time when I'm going to be at a loose end, just waiting for flights and stuff like that. So I will see. But I haven't packed yet. I will be this time tomorrow. I will be in the air. And I've got to get from Devon to Heathrow and long-term parking and packing and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I know. Please, everyone, pity me. I have to go to an Indonesian island for the weekend. It's terrible, isn't it? I'm getting a bit old for the 13-hour flight in economy class, overnight flight. It's quite tough. But yeah, okay, no, you're right. It's brilliant, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be wicked. It's just I've got a huge amount on my plate right now, which is taking some chunk out of it. No, I'm not flying myself. No, I'm not flying the plane. No, I'll be sleeping in the back of the plane, watching movies and making the most of a bit of quiet time up in the air without the internet. Thank you, guys. I will enjoy the trip. Oh, the manta rays are amazing. Okay, cool. I'll look out for those. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Listen, have a great night. I've got to go. Thank you so much for the support. I will see you on the next one. Please send me your requests. I would love to try and get this group working. And I will send a link out to everyone that didn't make it so they can watch it afterwards. I would love to try and get more of you on the next one. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. See you on the next one. Have a good one. Good luck. Happy bidding, happy viewing, and have a good night. Bye-bye.